In this video, I'm going to show you how to take your negative space branch design and turn it into 3 different types of tessellations. Now, a tessellation is a tile pattern. So the first thing we're going to do is you're going to edit your design on your phone. And you're going to turn it into a square. You're going to zoom in. But before I do that, I just want to raise the contrast a little bit so my whites look a little lighter and my black areas look a little darker. So I'm going to contrast and I'm going to, push it up about halfway between the center and the high end. I don't want to lighten it up all the way because if there was a little bit of glare on the black paint, that might show up if I raise the contrast too high. Now the next thing I'm going to do is, as I was looking at this image, I decided that I thought it would be more interesting if I slanted the angle of the main branch. And so I went to the crop tool and I rotated it. It looks like I rotated about 15 degrees there. And so now I'm going to crop the image into a square. And so I've selected square as the aspect ratio. And on your phone, it may say 1:1 or it may say square. Now the rule of thirds always shows up when we go to crop our images on our phone. So it's very handy. And you can place the focal point using the rule of thirds. Now what I'm really looking for is a nice balance of black negative space and the white shapes of the branches and the foliage. I want it to be sort of a 50-50 balance, about 50% of the light shapes and 50% of the black shapes. And at some point, when I'm satisfied with this, I will save it, and that will become the tile that I'll be working with. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is, after I save that, I'm going to go to the Pixlr app. And here it is, opening it up, Pixlr. And I do not pay for the premium price, so ads do pop up. But I am able to edit them out when I make these short videos for you. So I'm going to select the image that I just created, and it's in my favorites. So each time I'm going to go into my favorites. I have all my Fullerton College artwork for my students there, and this is based on a Fullerton College student's design. Now, I clicked on collage, okay, on the home screen of Pixlr, and after I clicked on collage, on the bottom you can see me scrolling through the different formats I can choose, and I want a very specific format. Now these formats are arranged in order of the number of photos. So it starts with 2, it goes to 3, and then up to 4 photos. And so I'm almost there, looking for the 4-photo grid, and there it is. I selected that. And so for each image, I am going to have to go back into my favorites, select the same image. When it pops up, it's zoomed in, so I have to zoom out with my 2 fingers. I'm doing it again. Now I'm working on a translation. And the translation just means that you take your 4 designs and you repeat them 4 times. After I do that, I am finished with my translation. And then I am going to click on Next. And after I click on Next, I'm going to save it. It says no further editing is possible when you click on Next, and that's fine. I'm then going to say Done, so you have like 2 opportunities, and then click on Save Image, and I saved it to my camera roll. And there you can see a little ad popping up. Okay, so there it is, saved to the camera roll. Okay, back to Pixlr, click on Collage. Okay, so when you click on collage, it will pull up your photo stream, right? It'll pull up your recent photos. And so I need to go back into my favorites because that's where this one is. And now I'm going to be working on the rotation tessellation. So I'm finding the same collage configuration with the 4 squares, and I put the one image in there. I'm going back for the same image. There's a lot of repetition here. So once I load that next image, now I'm going to do something different. I need to rotate it. In order to do that, I'm going to need to edit that image. Now there's a little square at the top with a rectangle and a pencil, and that's what I clicked on. Okay, and now I'm going to click on the toolbox in the bottom left. You can see that there's a light blue line under there. And as I'm editing this, see the rotate, the little arrow on the right with the little arrow? Yeah, so I clicked on rotate and it turned it around, right? And so that's good. I'm going to click done and it's back. Now I'm going to go to my next square. Now I'm working in a clockwise manner. That's very important because each time I'm going to rotate it. Now I'm going to rotate again. So I go to the edit, which is on the top with the little pencil mark. I go to my toolbox. I go to rotate, and I'm going to rotate it once and twice. Okay, so now I'm ready to put that back into the next square. So I say done, and it's back. Now I'm going to click on the last box. Remember, I'm going in a clockwise order. Get that tile again and zoom out. Have to do the same thing each time, and I'm going to rotate it. Now going to the edit, again on the top, with the rectangle with the diagonal pencil in it, click on edit, and now I'm going to rotate it, and you probably figured out what I'm going to do. I'm going to rotate it once, I'm going to rotate it twice, and 3 times. And that rotation is an automatic clockwise rotation. There's one more thing I want to show you with this. You can choose the width of the dividers, okay, of the grid lines. And that box is the second from the left on the bottom. You see it highlighted right there? So I can take this slide bar, and if I slide it to the right, oh, I don't like that. That box gets wider. And if I slide it all the way to the left, it disappears entirely, which I actually really like. And so I remember I kind of went back and forth with this, trying to figure out what I was going to do, if I wanted a fine line or not. And it's your choice. You don't have to have any lines there at all, no grid lines at all. You could just get rid of it or add a small grid line. You could add a wider grid line. That's just not my aesthetic preference. So I decided to go with a thin grid line with this one. All right, so I'm going to save it. So I hit next, I hit done, and I mistakenly hit my toolbox, so I've got to go back. And then after that, I'm going to click on done again. And there we go. Save image. All right, I saved it. Now I'm going to make my final tessellation. And this one will be reflection. So again, I opened up Pixlr. I went to collages, and I am inserting the same image, same exact image I've been working with all along. And I'm looking for the collage that has the 4 squares that are even size. There it is. So I click on that, pull it up, then I'm going to put that same image I've been working with this whole time right in there, zoom out. Okay, now it's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to do the same thing first. I'm going to put the same image in the square to the upper right, zoom out. Now I'm ready to edit. So go to the top bar, the little edit button. Okay, and I'm going to go to my toolbox, click on rotate again, but this time I am going to flip it horizontally. Now there's nice little icons on the bottom that explain like what you do. And so for that top one, it gets flipped horizontally. So I click on that, flip it horizontally, say done, and it goes back in. Now I'm going to add an image to the bottom left square. Same image, No surprise there. So zoom out, go to the edit button on the top row there, and I need to, this time, I need to rotate it, but I'm going to flip it vertically. Okay, so the mirror image, and this is a little bit tricky, but I know you're going to figure it out. It's really cool how this works. Click done. Okay, see how I flipped that first one vertically? Now I'm going to the last square, and I'm going to need to flip that one vertically and horizontally. Okay, so I'm going to add my image to that square. Here it comes. Same image. Zoom out and go to edit. Okay, and again, I'm going to go to rotate, and I'm going to flip it both horizontally and vertically. I'm going to do both. Click on the check bar at the bottom. Okay, and then click done, and it is done. And now I'm going to play around with the width of my grid lines, and for this one, I think I get rid of them entirely. So you can see what I'm doing with that slide bar and sliding it down to get rid of them totally. So there you have it. That's how you make the 3 different tessellations. And after you do that, we're going to have our Zoom tutorial. And during the Zoom tutorial, we're going to figure out which one you want to make into your final project. So again, I'm saving the image, and so you can see they're all saved on my camera roll, right? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm looking at the 3 images, and I'm deciding which one I want to turn into my final design. So you would be doing this part after the tutorial, okay, for your final design. And I decide I am going with the reflection image. So after I decide I'm going to go with the reflection, and here I'm still kind of going back and forth between them. But yep, that's it. That's the one that looks the most interesting to me. It's in a strange shape in the middle. Looks like a little square, doesn't it? So back to the Pixlr app, and I am going to go to collage. I'm going to select that image, and then I have to scroll through, find the grid with the 4 even squares again. And here it comes. There it is. And zoom out, and then I'm going to keep adding that image 3 more times. So there it is. Scroll out, add it again. Aren't you glad you didn't have to paint this or cut it out of paper? I thought this would be a great way to learn about tessellations. And it's just a kind of an easy, fun project, but you're really understanding the whole concept behind it. I decided to get rid of my grid lines totally, and this is my final project. And yes, there are 16 of those tiles right there.